Hello, I'm Jace Tanner, reporting from Vancouver's downtown Eastside for rabble.ca. Earlier this week, I met with 3 people from the Overdose Protection Society. Sarah Blyth, one of the co-founders, Amy, one of the managers, and Mark, one of the volunteers. It was difficult to find a quiet place to hold these interviews, and we really only succeeded for one of them. When I commented on this, Sarah pointed out that that is one of the difficult realities of the neighborhood. We discussed a number of things about the work of this organization, how it both saves and changes lives in terms of drug overdose, the pandemic, as well as assisting with housing, food, and other services. It also provides a place for safe haven and community.
This is the Overdose Prevention site that we're currently at 99 East Pender, and it's we see up to hundreds of people here a day. We have 3 sites, one at the downtown Eastside Market on Hastings, and another at 390 Columbia. And we just monitor people who are using drugs to make sure that they don't overdose and die, and we deal with several overdoses every day. And we also help people get housing and food and other services that they need. Just generally a community-based organization. We hire people from the community to help each other, and we train people from the community to help each other. So it's a really great place, and in the middle of a really difficult time, it helps and supports people who are most vulnerable to overdoses and dying. We've just, reduced the stigma, reduced the amount of people that are using alone and dying in alleys. People come to us, they get safe supplies, they have a warm, safe, compassionate place to use drugs where it's not an alley alone in the cold, sitting on a pavement being harassed by police. It's a place where people can come use drugs, get their drugs tested, find out where shelters are, find out where the public services are at, get some employment. If someone is on the street and they need some employment, we can always get them some jobs, some part-time hours working. We can help get them into treatment if that's what they want. Anything that they need, they come to us with. We're sort of a all needs, one stop place for people to come to get help if they need it. Whereas otherwise they'd be in an alley alone and may not, have the frontline services that we provide.
I'm one of the managers here at OPS. I am on site day to day to just kind of handle situations as they come up. And I've been with OPS for about 2 years. I started as a volunteer and ended up on the management side. I was looking for a way to give back and a way to, kind of get involved in a grassroots organization. I was in recovery myself for about a year, and when I heard about OPS, I just thought it seemed like a great fit, a place where I could come and spend some time and really get involved.
I'm Mark DeCharlie. I've been working here at Ops for almost 3 years now. I found it a great job. I never pictured myself being in this position, but I guess I always figured I always wanted to be in peer work, but I never thought I'd be here. But I love it. It's a great job. They asked me to help one morning to set up supplies and help them out, and then they hired me from there, and it's been great ever since. I was working at the market at the time, and it was a way to fill up my evenings because I worked during the day, and then I'd come here at night and do a night shift. And I enjoyed it. It was great working with people I was working with.
A lot of the life-saving is just education, to use a little and then maybe use a little bit more or later on to make sure, and not to use alone. There's a lot of different ways of sort of decreasing the ability to overdose and creating education. And then if someone still overdoses after that, then we're able to give them Narcan, make sure that they, get their life saved within seconds of overdosing. If they're in an alley alone, it could take minutes to get to someone, and as we all know, that minutes when you're without oxygen can create a lot of damage long term. So, people generally, if they overdose, we deal with it by the time the ambulance gets here. The ambulance usually says, "Do you want to come with us?" They say no. We take care of their overall, health care. Because if the ambulance takes them to the hospital, generally they get let out, a few hours later in another community, and then they have to make their way back down here where they want to be. So, we try to be a one-stop sort of situation for people to come, get their needs, and be able to help them, with some of the, even where they're going to stay that night. Do they need some food? Do they need some extra cash in their pocket? Do we have an extra job for people? All of those things we try and help people, and create a sense of a community in a way that hasn't been created in the past. So, we've saved thousands of lives since we've been open. We are, a model that's being created across Canada and different parts of the world, where it gives folks that are drug users respect and dignity that they deserve. So, we feel that this is a place where people can feel, it's their place, it's their community, and they decide what they need and how it's going to run.
It was very rewarding. The first time I saved a life and I saw somebody get up, I was like, wow, that is amazing. I felt like that was the greatest piece of satisfaction I've ever had. And that feeling is amazing, They overdosed and we went to get them. They're non-responsive. We gave them Narcan. In about 2 to 3 minutes, they came, responded, started to move, and then gave them another shot, and they just opened their eyes and started wondering what happened, and they came back, and it astounded me. I was like, wow, that's amazing. This guy was practically dead, and now he's back with us, and I found that so satisfying, as knowing I did a great job at what my job was supposed to do. I did my job great, and that's a wonderful feeling, complete job satisfaction every time. I've done that probably 50 times or more since I've been here, and every time is very rewarding. I find it very great. People you save are very grateful. They're some are surprised they even went down, but they're thankful that you were there, and they're always saying thank you, even when they're just coming here to you. So hey, they're really happy to be here, and I find that I find a good sense of community in that working here. I get along with everybody I see and everything. It's great.
It's been really great. I've been here for about 2 years, and so I've seen myself kind of go from someone who was a year into recovery to someone with, multiple years of clean time, and I think I've developed as a person, kind of become a better person just in interacting with people and being a part of the community and seeing what OPS does and, what we offer people. We definitely do more than, just the standard harm reduction of giving out clean supplies or overdose response, with naloxone and oxygen. We're really kind of a gathering point for the community where people come together and meet each other and really can find resources and also a place of non-judgment and acceptance. And that's one of the things I like really most about being a part of the team at OPS is really that kind of community involvement.
We train everybody how to save lives, use oxygen, use Narcan. to see what an overdose looks like, right on the brink of it happening. To care for each other. The people who use drugs here are usually the people who work here as well, so they are helping each other. Even the guy sitting next to the other guy should be trained. So it's just making sure the large community is trained and can help each other. Even when they leave this place, that they can leave with the skills to be able to save people, even in their housing. We teach them, and then they go and they live in social housing. Someone has an overdose, and they end up being the folks that people run to. So, just saving lives has been a big thing for folks down here and helping each other. When COVID came along, it kind of told people not to be together, but really drug users are more likely to die of overdoses than they are of COVID. And we've seen that. So, the main thing is keeping people using together and with a distance now and everything else. So we've been able to make that happen. And we save lives that way too. And educating. In a couple days we're going to have COVID shots for people, vaccinations. And they'll come here, they can get their COVID vaccination, so that they're taken care of in that way as well. It's a vulnerable population. There's a lot of folks, there's a lot of elderlies and people with disabilities. So I think that it's recognized that they're a vulnerable community, so they were prioritized. And that's a good thing because, there's not really a way for homeless people to social distance. How do you do that when you don't even have food or a place to, your struggles are way beyond COVID. And it's kind of the last thing that a lot of people have on their minds. So when life's that much of a struggle, it's hard to focus on that. And if you don't help that community, that's a community that may be, keep COVID contained into that community, create a lot of problems. So it's good to vaccinate folks in the downtown east side.
Many services closed with social distancing and wanting to keep people safe. A lot of the shelters closed. A lot of the services that people down here depend on daily closed. It became much more difficult for people to find a place to have a shower, find a place to sleep, to find food, hot, warm food. Many places were well-intentioned and were certainly trying to follow guidelines, but the unintended consequence was that people started using alone, and we've seen that reflected in the overdose numbers over the last year. Overdoses are certainly increasing, fatal overdoses have increased, and it's really sad to see those numbers so far into the overdose epidemic. As a safe injection site and safe inhalation site, we do all of the standard overdose response. When someone overdoses, we're there to respond to that. We monitor them and keep them safe. We give people whatever supplies they need to take with them, so that if they're not using, then of course here with people, that they still have everything they need to be safe and healthy. And then as well as that, there's a few different things that we do. We have hot food that comes in at lunchtime, so we're providing food for people. We do clothing donations, so if someone needs clothing or shoes, and that's something we can generally provide for them. We have a bathroom program, so instead of porta potties in the community, we have a trailer that's plumbed as a bathroom, so it's a dignified place for people, to do what they have to wash their hands and, look in the mirror and feel good about themselves. We have a garden project that we do in the summer where we help people kind of learn about growing different stuff, different vegetables and whatnot. We have, we've got someone here doing tarot cards right now, and a lot of our staff kind of offer an ear or a shoulder in a way that sometimes that's exactly what people need. They need to connect, and we really offer that as well, just some connection.
You actually get a deep connection with these people, beyond respect. It's, the gratefulness, that you feel from them. It's untold that it's there, It's wonderful. I love it. That's one of the great reasons why I work here.
It's funny, before I came to the downtown east side, I don't think I realized what a deep sense of community there is down here. There's a real sense of togetherness, where we all just kind of want to help each other, and we all realize we're in it together. OPS is a grassroots organization, so I think that we have a kind of a unique ability to really meet people where they're at. We're a low barrier site, so even people who maybe aren't able to use other sites can come here, and access our services. So it really doesn't matter, who you are or what's going on in your life. You can come to OPS and you can find a place of acceptance. You can find harm reduction supplies. You can be kept safe, and if anything happens, if you do overdose, then we will absolutely make sure that you're all right.
We're peer run, and we are the low barrier. And we let people get away with a lot more than the other places would. And in a sense, I think that kind of makes us like a rebel group, I guess. But I like that from that, we get the throwaways from the other sites. So we are like the last stop, but we are that life-saving stop for those people, Without us, they'd be in an alley dead,
We have really great working relationships with the city, and Vancouver Coastal Health. I think that when you talk about the police, that's a bigger issue of criminalization of poverty and addiction. The police don't come here. They really do seem to respect what we're doing for the most part. We have individual officers here and there that we have problems with outside of the site. But I would say that that's really our biggest challenges are more just kind of providing the resources that we need. We do accept donations of stuff like warm coats in the winter, and that's really helpful.
These overdose prevention sites should be, because we see people on the front lines, instead of them getting drugs from the alley or in the street, that they get drugs from, doctors and nurses that are something that they can use, that they know what it is, they know exactly what to take, how much they're taking, and so a safe supply of drugs. Really readily available to anyone who needs it, just as readily available as any drug dealer would have drugs available, and so that they can get what they need and they're not going to overdose and we're not going to have to call ambulances, right? So ideally there's someone standing here making sure people have drugs that aren't from a drug dealer. That would be what I would think would be the most helpful. And I think what would happen then is that, people would be using something they knew what it was. Ambulances wouldn't be going nonstop. And they wouldn't be in the hospital, they wouldn't have long-term brain damage, you know what I mean? So, it's building, but it's not quite there yet. And, there's a lot of more work to do. But it's the thing that's going to be what really helps. And I think it really has to start from where, like a place like this, so that someone like Mark or myself could say, listen, what do you need today? And they know what they're getting, they know exactly what they're getting and how much they're getting and what they're using. And it'll really make the world a difference. They won't have to do survival sex trade, they won't have to do survival drug dealing, they won't have to break into people's cars, they won't be riding around in ambulances and in the hospital, like the hospitals, and they won't be ending up in the morgue. It's just a terrible situation, and that's how I see it.
Well, I think the bigger issues are decriminalization and safe supply and reduction of stigma. The more that people are seen for, a whole individuals rather than, just an addict or just somebody who's living in poverty in the downtown east side, then the more that we can kind of support people in a community environment, and that they can feel more supported. I think it's really important that decriminalization happens. I think that the safe supply program should be expanded, and I think that those two things can make a huge difference for people in their daily lives. Most of the harms that I see around drug use stem pretty directly from criminalization. The drug supply is toxic. It's absolutely toxic now. It's gotten worse since COVID closed all of the borders. So it's really important that the safe supply program is expanded. It's made, easier and more accessible for people. And then again, with decriminalization, I think that our city, our mayor has shown that that's something that they want to do, and I think that that's really important. The more barriers you put in place for people, the harder their life is going to be. And when you criminalize, something that's such a social problem and such a health issue, I just really believe that leads to increased harms in people's lives. So I would say that that's kind of what I would like to see happen, and I think what OPS as an organization would like to see happen would just be for safe supply to continue to be increased and become more accessible, and for the city to really push for decriminalization.
Government understands. I think that they have to figure out how to message it politically so it makes sense. But I don't think it's that hard. I think that they just need to say, listen, if we do this, then these things will stop happening. And then just do it. And it takes a really strong leader to be able to just do it. Just not ramp it up slowly. We need, like Justin Trudeau needs to get out there and just say, listen, we're going to give these guys safe supplies because we don't want the ambulances going nonstop anymore. We've got overdose prevention sites. We can, have folks get drugs where they are and take them away because they're not going to overdose on them. They know what they're taking. They're not going to have pig dewormer and all the other stuff. I mean, if it doesn't kill them from fentanyl, it has other things in it, or benzos. And just really be stern and message it. Just say it. Just say, this is what we're going to do, and this is, no more. If you want to decrease in crime and breaking into cars and stealing bikes. If you want to, not have women being abused and taken advantage of by doing survival sex trade, you don't want people doing survival drug dealing on your corner. There's ways of dealing with it. I mean, I can't say that anything's ever going to be 100%, but I would say that it would do a huge amount of good. I don't understand how that's so hard to message that. I think it could be quite simple, like everything else in government that you have to, explain to the public. It's pretty simple. I would say that is how you should say it. We are just going into worse and worse of crisis situation, and it's going to get worse, and it has gotten worse, and it'll continue to get worse. It's just, it's like if COVID, you didn't do anything about it. Just let it just run its course. It's not going to get better because you just leave it. It's not going to get better because you just ignore it. You know what I mean? You have to do something about it. Even if you don't like it. Otherwise it gets worse. People are going to be more mad at the state of it getting worse, costing more money. Right? They're going to be mad that they're spending so much money on a crisis that isn't resolving itself. They're going to be a lot happier knowing that we're able to help people in a way that is compassionate. I saw some of the bigger issues that were affecting people, and I just really wanted to help. I realized that, even from being on the park board for 6 years, like Libby Davies, I realized that I wanted to put my effort towards people who really needed it and could really use some help and some recognition, and try and figure out what they really needed, and be able to help people that way. So, I just wanted to use my ability to organize and get, talk to people and that sort of thing in a way to help folks in a real way to get what they need. So, and then help people and mentor people to be able to speak for themselves, because that's really the best thing, is when people actually get up and they tell people what they need. Make sure that this was an organization led by the people that are from the downtown Eastside, and that they speak for themselves, as opposed to people in Zoom meetings speaking for them and directing money to things that aren't really helpful. And that's happening all the time. So I think it's, that's my motivation. I also have had some personal experiences. My dad was homeless for a long time. And, he had some challenges, and he lived down here for quite a while. So I think because, I understand it on a personal level, and I've had some, my own challenges in life with learning disabilities and things like that. So I understand that life can be difficult, and it's not as cut and dry for people, and sometimes it's hard for people from other communities really to understand that, and they are afraid of it, and then they don't have the compassion that they should have. And so just trying to, make sure that people don't get away with not having the proper compassion for people. And I think that's a big thing.
I'm really proud to be part of such a great organization. I really think that, we lead the community when it comes to the peer work that we do, and just providing, a safe and dignified place for people to use. We want to meet people where we're at, and, they're certainly always welcome to come here and stay safe.
I'm glad to be working for this organization. It's really given me a place where I could feel I can grow. I have a purpose in life. I have a community I love, and I feel that it's a great place where I belong.
We've just heard from 3 people in Vancouver's downtown Eastside and the work they're doing on overdose and related issues. In addition to that, they discussed the fundamental need for connection and community that we all have. Thanks for watching.